Hello, you guys. You guys know what day it is. You guys know what's gonna happen. It's Sunday, and Sunday is D&D day. Um, so if anyone's been paying attention to the last few D&D rambles, I'm gonna put them in their own playlist. Just if anyone actually wants to listen to these chronologically and understand what's going on in the story in the campaign, but this 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 campaign is still we're still doing my brother's campaign. His roommate just hasn't really been in it's been a rough couple of weeks, so he's not really in the dungeon master mood. So his campaign is kind of just on hold right now. It sounds like we're gonna do it next Sunday. We're gonna pick back up with his campaign, but we're 4 sessions deep from when I joined. But this is the 12th session for the entirety of the campaign. So I joined midway through, more than midway. But yeah. So last time we left off on a cliffhanger. We were battling these talking wargs, these white warg. Well, there was one white warg and 4 or 5 normal wargs, and they could speak, and it was very scary. It was very scary, but we immediately killed the big bad boss, White Warg, during the beginning of this session. I still had him grappled, so he took fire damage, which he was weak to, so he ended up taking seven ticks of fire damage. And that was just from him starting his turn, because I had my thermal nimbus, because I'm a kineticist who specializes in fire and air. So yeah. But we ended up killing him. The dark elf lady with the big sword ended up killing him. She split his head open pretty much with her sword. One of the wargs ran away, and then the other two, they were killed by the halfling in our party. She's I still don't know what class she is. She's like a cultist, like an occultist, studier librarian who can use magic. I think she's a cleric. I don't know, but she used a death mist on both of them and they died. I was able to use a flying flame, which for kineticist, it's like Yondu's arrow from Guardians of the Galaxy, where I create a form, like a shape, and I can control it in 30 feet. So I created a lump of coal fire, and I just threw it like a baseball, and it went through both of the wargs because it can travel 30 feet. So kind of arced around. They were flanking the halfling in the middle, so I threw it and it arced around the halfling, hit one of them, did more than half of its health. It was on death's door. And then the other warg landed a critical success, so he just dodged it. What a poopy head. But yeah, we finished off the wargs. None of the dogs died. We had a bunch of sled dogs. None of them died. And a new addition to the party. One of the original campaign members who was at the first session, she took a month hiatus because she had to do stuff for work or school or something. I'm not sure. But she came back during this session. So the way my brother introduced her is she was with the party originally when we were on the ship at the very beginning when I was introduced. But she's a snake. And so the whole thing is she was hibernating. So she emerged from one of the sleds that I guess the sailors just threw her on a sled and put a bunch of stuff on top of her. So we didn't know she was there, but she just gets up and is "Hey guys, what's up? I've woken up from my hibernation." And she's this half human, half snake thaumaturge. And the person that plays her, or I think it's a him. I'm not sure what gender the snake person is. But the person that plays it she is I can tell she's done this a lot. because she and my brother ended up in like a 10-minute long discussion about skills and effects, so like what one of her abilities does, because they couldn't understand it. So they were just like going back and forth, like, does it do this, does it do that, wait, but then what happens to like this skill, does that affect this skill? I mean, it went right over my head. I had no idea what any of it, like what was going on. I was just sitting there and I was like, oh, like this is a lot. But I can tell she is like big brain when it comes to Pathfinder 2E. She definitely knows what's happening. So I'm happy she joined the party, because when I play, I don't really understand what's going on with mechanics. I just do cool stuff. Like I want to just do cool stuff. But yeah, so that's our new addition to the party, a snake person thaumaturge. So yeah, we ended up killing the wargs. None of the dogs were harmed, and we proceeded further into this snowy, cold, desolate island. And we're searching for one person. We're searching for a person. We were pretty much sent on like a fetch quest by a ruler of this area, kind of, to fetch this person and bring them back. And so we spent a good couple, like 20-30 minutes tracking. And what happens is we were set upon by like a blizzard. It got really cold. The night was coming on, so we found shelter. We ended up sheltering in this like almost like ruined hamlet area. There is like a building that we put all the dogs in, so they could like stay warm and stuff. And then we took cover behind like this large well wall that's kind of like half dilapidated. And the funny bit is, since it's cold, we needed a fire for the night, so everyone could stay warm. Well, they're all like, well, Stench, that's my character, Stench, if you didn't know. Stench is a kineticist. I'm a gnome kineticist, and one of my powers is fire, like I said. And so they're like, Stench, how do you light the fire? I was like, well, I have matches in my backpack, but can I just like stand on the fire and then set myself ablaze? Like, can I stand in the fire pit where all the logs are and just like set myself ablaze there and sleep there? So we have the fire going throughout the night. And my brother was like, I mean, I guess that works. So throughout the night, I was just sleeping in the fire, kind of like Daenerys during that Game of Thrones scene where she bursts the dragon eggs. Like how she just sleeps in the fire. That's how I envisioned it. Is I'm just like the sole source of flame, burning the logs around me. But this came into play beautifully. One of the members of our party, the elf guy, he's pretty much so some lore about him. Okay, this elf ranger uses a bow. Or he's not a ranger, he's like an archer or something. But he uses a bow. The person that is playing him played another character in a campaign before this campaign, and the OG campaign is affecting this campaign. So the guy he played in the OG campaign is this elf bro's like brother, and he turned evil. And so now this character that he's playing in this campaign is trying to find his brother and figure out like what happened to him and get revenge, pretty much. What happened is his brother did a whole berserk. Like he went Griffith. Like he sacrificed his family to get magic powers. And his brother lived through it. So now his brother, similar to Guts, has like a curse mark that bleeds when things are about to attack. So we had a total... I mean, my brother even put on the Berserk soundtrack. This is how berserk it was, okay? We're all sleeping, and my brother starts rolling dice secretly, and the elf guy, his symbol starts bleeding, and he's like, guys, this isn't good. And my character and the halfling have no idea what that means. He's like, yeah, we're about to be attacked. So my brother puts on the berserk music. I already knew. Once I heard the berserk music, I knew what was going to happen. Like the berserk music and the curse mark just gave it away. But we end up getting ambushed by 4 shadow demons. I I didn't have a shadow because I was the fire. If I was sleeping and I wasn't the fire, there'd be 5 shadow demons, but there's only 4. Um, we end up killing 2 of them. Um, oh yeah, because I was the fire, I technically had my kinetic gate active, so I didn't have to waste an action point to turn on my kinetic gate. I just had it on when I went into combat, which was dope. Um, but yeah, beside that, we came into we were ambushed by them. And so we rolled for initiative. We all rolled pretty high. Only two of the 4 went before most of the party. And when I say most of the party, they went before. Okay, never mind. It was like 2 party members, 2 ghosts, me, a ghost, 2 party members, a ghost. That was our initiative list. But yeah, these things were resistant 5 to any form of damage. So they just resisted. If you attacked for 20, it would hit for 15. Stuff like that. I think I kind of maybe understand it. But yeah. So we're attacked. We end up killing 2. I was able to grapple one of them, and just elemental blast it with like shock damage, because I'm a kineticist. I have fire and air, right? Air has a like subset damage. That my damage can be electricity or slashing. So I chose electricity because slashing wasn't hurting them. And this is before we figured out they had resistance to all forms of damage. So I just did my shock grasp while I was like grappling this ethereal shadow person. I was like hugging onto it. But yeah, we end up killing 2 of them. And one of our party members, the elf guy, he is completely drained of health. All 4 of the shadow people focus him immediately, and they all got initiative before him. He was one of the last people to go. So yeah, he went all the way down to 0 health. And then the dark elf lady did lay of hands on him, so he was back, but he was wounded and he was enfeebled. He had a stack of 3 enfeebled or something. And by big brain, it was a big brain play. The halfling cleric, she casts a 30-foot radius heal. That is the one thing that can damage these motherfuckers a lot. It is a 3-action, 30-foot radius heal. So not only does it heal the elf dude, it gives him like 17 points back. It does crazy amounts of damage to all of the ghosts. So there's only 2 left, and that's where we left off because we had to end the session early because one of our party members is going to the airport at like 3 a.m. tomorrow. But yeah, no, it was a wonderful session. It was very funny. There were a lot of I had to introduce my character Stench, and there was just a lot of laughing because Stench is just like a genuinely like, he's just like a little dude who's dirty and stinky and on fire and can grapple things. Like he's just a guy. But yeah, it was a very funny, very fun session. It was dope. It was awesome. I'm kind of understanding the game. I feel like I get a grasp for things, like especially combat. Like last session, I felt like, oh, I have combat, in the bag. Like I understand how to attack and stuff. This session, all out the window. I felt like I knew nothing. When I was trying to use like the interface and everything we use, it's like Table Foundry or something. And you can like attack and roll dice inside of it. Like you don't need to have actual physical dice. And I like using it because it automatically accounts for everything. So I don't have to add anything. It adds my multipliers, my buffs. And it already selects the dice that you need. It's just figuring out what button to press on the UI. I'm still like, last session, I don't know what I did. I could do it instantaneously. In this session, it took me like 30 seconds to figure out what button to press. But yeah, I mean, we're chilling. We're having a good time. D&D is pretty fun. And yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. Thank you for listening to this 15-minute long recap of my D&D campaign. That is, I'm probably like explaining it in a really bad way. Like none of you probably have any idea what's going on, but it is what it is. Thank you. I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and I love you. And I'll see you guys later in the next video. Goodbye. 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 Ah.